Hi there, welcome to this month's market update, and I'm going to dive into what's happening out there in the market, try and decipher the vast array of news headlines, most of which aren't very good at the moment, understandably, and talk about what we expect to happen with prices in the coming weeks and months, if I can. So before I do, I always ask the same thing: hit that subscribe button, please give us a like for this video, it really does help us out. So let's talk about what happened in the month of June across our business and across the region. One of the big trends was the big increase we saw in the number of new instructions. So for our business, we had a 15% increase in new business, new listings coming to market. The region as a whole, about 6.5% increase, and available property, so those properties currently for sale, now up about 100% across our business from where they were a year ago. This is quite an interesting trend. So, okay, let's just first of all dive in. What's the big reason why our business is seeing a big increase in instructions against the region? One of my theories on this, and I'm going to say something that maybe is a little bit hard hitting, but I think people are moving away from particularly models that you would associate with being sort of self-service, cheap online models. People like Stripe, Purplebricks, they've seen big hits in their market share. And I think that's an acknowledgement from sellers that this is a much tougher market and they need an agent who is able to provide them with a professional service and drive their deal through. So that's just one trend that we are clearly observing. And what's happening to sales rates? Now, this is really interesting. First thing I'm going to say to you is that the volume of property being reduced in the market is 94% higher than it was a year ago. Perhaps no surprise, but yes, we are seeing double the number of reductions. So sellers are clearly acknowledging that this is a tougher environment and they're bringing their prices down. But the impact that that has had on sales rates is to keep them broadly where they were a year ago, which might come as a surprise to some people. But yes, there's the same number of properties selling today as there was at this time last year. So the market again is showing its resilience, even in the face of all the challenges that we're seeing, particularly around interest rates. People, as I've been saying for months, still want to buy and are still showing that desire to make that next property move. And so what about prices? Okay, it's not happened yet. There hasn't been any big drop. The 10, 15, 20% drops that people were predicting at the start of the year have not come to fruition. Nationwide, they said in their recent update that prices had gone up by 0.1%, so hardly changed. Rightmove, no change pretty much. In fact, prices went down on the asking price index by £82. That's it, no change really. Halifax have just brought out their recent update for June. They said that prices had fallen by 0.1%. And the Land Registry, it's a bit out of date now, they always are, they're a few months behind. They said in April prices went up by 2.5%. Don't really get that one. The way we see it, when we look at our average stats and we look at what's going on across our region, we think that prices have come back by about 2 to 4%, depending on where you are. For most people, they probably can't even really see it happening. So no big drop in the market just yet. So what do we expect to happen moving forward? What do we expect to happen in the summer months and beyond? It's getting really hard for me to try and project what might be happening into 2024. I'm not even going to try and do that. I'm just give you a feel for where I think the next few weeks and months might go in respect to. And I'm going to go back to things that I've referred to in previous videos. Let's talk about the three pillars of the property market. In fact, the three pillars of pretty much any economy really: supply, demand, and then those other factors, the political, international policy type things which can impact what's going on around us. So first and foremost, let's talk about supply. As I've already referred to in this video, we're seeing a greater number of properties come to market. That's creating a bit more choice out there, but there isn't this vast excess of properties around for people to choose from. The other thing to bear in mind, and there's been some reports coming out on this recently, house builders are now starting to respond to the more difficult conditions, and they're slowing down the rate of building, said to be the lowest since the end of World War II, which I think is remarkable. And again, that's going to limit supply coming into the market. The other big thing that people are talking around on supply is a potential increase in repossessions as we come in through this next phase, particularly as those fixed rate mortgages end. This is undoubtedly a problem, but it's a bit of a red herring to talk about it today. The rules around taking over someone's property, under treating customers fairly, and we've seen news on this recently, it's actually really, really difficult for lenders to do that. Plus, I think it's also important to acknowledge that after the last credit crunch, there was a lot of rules introduced around affordability checks. Most people have been stress tested up to a rate of about 8%. So that should mean that with some adjustments to lifestyle, most people will continue to be able to afford to pay their mortgage. So I don't think we're into a problem with that just yet. And that's going to keep supply relatively under control. And then if we look at the demand side, okay, we can't get away from it. Interest rates are going up. As was said in the comments after my last video, I said that 5% would be that tipping point where the market would start to swing more in favor of the buyers. And I think we can see that happening. I mentioned earlier about the volume of reductions. That's a good indication that the buyers are now starting to take a bit of control. But that won't be the case across all areas of the market, particularly across a region like our own, cities like Leeds, where it's incredibly busy, popular place to live and a real commercial centre. Demand is always going to be there, and that's currently what we are seeing. Okay, and so let's just talk about the other factors. We have the dark cloud hanging over us with the issues, of course, in Russia and the Ukraine. We have to hope that that stays under relative control and doesn't start to have a bigger impact on the continent as a whole. For us, we're still feeling the effects of the disastrous mini budget that happened back in September 2022. But what we do have is we have a government now, not particularly popular, but a government that will be doing all that they can in what is the next year to try and get themselves re-elected, I suspect in vain. And that will include doing everything to keep property prices at a good level. No government has ever been re-elected in a year where property prices have fallen. That's just history. So I think Rishi and his crew will be doing all they can to try and address that issue. Of course, we can't anticipate those black swan events such as the pandemic, and we just have to hope none of those are on the horizon. So I can't see anything there that's going to drastically impact the market. So overall, next few weeks into the summer and the next few months, I think we're just, as I said in the last video, at this tipping point. Control is moving slightly more towards the buyers. Price adjustments are happening in certain places, but we're not seeing this big doomsday prediction that so many had expected. 10, 15, 20% falls have not happened yet. Of course, as always, I will give you my honest appraisal of what's happening in the market through these videos. If something does change, you'll find out here first. Please keep watching us. Thanks for watching today. And if you're interested in talking to us about how we can help you move, we're available 8 a.m. till 8 p.m, 7 days a week, and we'd love to talk to you. Thanks for watching.